something interesting um, happened on the airplane ride home. So I flew individually with my son this on this trip, and
Oh,
it's
flying
stressful.
with Ari.
Yeah,
Flying
so
with Ari.
it is
Ooh.
stressful because of a
Yeah.
few things, and well, many things. Just traveling is stressful,
Mhm.
and my kiddo, who is neurodivergent, um, I liken him to like a golden retriever, and he has no ability not to interact with people, strangers, anyone. And he has no ability to differentiate between what is important versus what is just happening in the world. And, you know, I have had to have some real moments with myself of like, this is who he is. We need
Mm.
to hold space for that.
Ooh, that's
But don't
huge.
hold on. That's
No,
a
no, no.
this is
Just
a
having
deep.
that thought is
Mhm.
huge.
Well, but I don't do it always. In
Yeah,
fact,
but just having that thought is humongous. That's so beautiful that you would even say that to yourself.
well, because who he is, oh, it's going to make me cry. Who he is as a human is like just this beacon of light who wants to interact, and it's his gift. And like, and yet
Yeah.
there is a downside to it. And our society, and even if we went back to like, a hunter-gatherer society, like there is a point to which his inability to understand any social norm is
Hmm.
one, not safe, two, can be incredibly disruptive and annoying.
Yeah.
There's more, but those are the ones that like he cannot speak to strangers. Not everyone is going to love and adore and honor his time and his curiosity and his
Nor does
presence.
everyone have to.
No, but he doesn't know how to.
Right. Because it's a stress response for him.
The world is stressful, and
Right.
he has a vulnerable nervous system, and that
Right.
happens even in our own home when he is regulated and he's with
Yeah.
me. Like yes, this is the way
Mhm.
that his anxiety comes through, and it is amplified anywhere in public. And I can handle it for a minute or so, or however long I can, and then I get triggered and I lose it because
Yeah.
it's not safe. And like people,
Okay.
he's
Can you
nine.
tell me more about it not being safe?
Yeah, he's still really cute. He's still really sweet.
Uh-huh.
It's not going to be safe when he's older and stronger, and
Mhm.
no one's going to look at a 17-year-old kid who's turning around and like talking, 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 and not like hearing them and not respecting like their social norms of, I don't
Oh,
want to talk to
yeah.
you.
Yeah. Well, even as a little child, people still can be annoyed by him.
Oh, 100%.
So can you tell me more about it being unsafe?
I he will talk to strangers.
Mm-hmm.
And this is, I am a very naive person, and I love to give people the benefit of the doubt.
Mm-hmm.
But there are people in this world who are unsafe and unkind and can
Yeah.
also not be well mentally. And to have
Right.
someone in their space constantly talking to them
Yeah.
who they don't know and care about, they
Mm-hmm.
could have a response that is not appropriate.
What's the one that you're worried about?
Oh, I'm worried about, I mean, there's several. Like, I'm worried about a nonviolent, like a verbal altercation. I'm
Okay.
worried. Yeah, I'm worried about, and
That
it
would
won't
be,
it
uh-huh.
won't land with him. Like he
It
would get
w-
upset and scared. but it
Uh-huh.
wouldn't stop him from doing it.
Right. So you're afraid, as an example, that someone will scold him and then he won't stop. It won't
Yeah,
get
I mean,
better.
that is the
Yeah.
least of my concerns.
What's the biggest concern you have?
That if I'm not on it and there,
Hmm.
that he could, I mean, I'm sure if in the world, if I'm not with him, there could be an altercation of, hey man, stop talking to me, get out of my face. Like
Sure.
there
Yeah.
could be physical ramifications to
Okay.
this.
Let's look at that worst fear for a second, because that's what's
Um,
causing you to blow up
yeah.
at him. So we need to really shine light on that. So
Well,
what is
and
the worst?
hold on. There is that, and there's this just the ability to respect people's privacy. I mean, he
Yeah,
cannot respect people's privacy
right.
on a whole. And
Right.
so
You
it's
can't
like
do that. Right. Okay, that's not your fear though. Your fear is that he's going to get hurt, correct?
that he's going to get hurt or that he's going to get in trouble, like
And
uh,
rejected by society.
rejected by society, thrown off an airplane. I mean, like all these things. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, come on, sir. You come on. You got to get your kid in line. We got to
Yeah.
leave. You can't be talking to the captains right now. And I'm physically pulling him away.
Okay, so if you're not on it, he could have people hurt him.
Yes.
If you are on it,
Then
is
I
it
hurt him.
what?
Then I hurt him. I crush
Yeah,
his spirit.
right.
And then the other thing that happened that then we can talk about the things that you want to talk about. The other thing that happened was we were sitting in a row and there was a mom, like a dad directly behind me, and then the mom and the two kiddos, both like maybe 4 and 6, sitting like a row behind, but across the aisle. And the mom, you could have put my clothes on that mom, and I could have been her. And she was pissed and she was tired, and her fuse
Um,
was about to explode. And Ari looked at me and goes, Mommy, that sounds like you.
Oh, yes.
And I said, You know what? And it's going to make me, I said, I can hear that. It does sound like me. Like
Mm.
a bitchy mom, where people would be like, God, that woman is a bitch.
Yeah, yeah.
And so, and conversely, on the way down, I had someone pull me aside and say, You're an incredible mom.
And
You
she
know,
probably is too.
yeah, exactly. Right. But like
Yeah.
another woman on the way down, she's like, as we've made friends with everyone on the airplane and no one's allowed to have a moment of silence, somebody on the way down was like, You're a really incredible mom. And then on the way back, I'm like mentally destroying myself because one, I sound like a bitch. And two, I'm like, How is this ever gonna be different? It's
Yeah. Beautiful. Okay.
okay.
All right. So we this is the paradigm shift of, you know, um the expectations one.
Yeah.
I kind of went blank for a second, where we
Well, it's
expect
compliance
we have yes, this is the third one where we expect what we want
but
versus
there's a mismatch.
we expect what is right, the child we want versus the child we have. And that what we want to do is build a bridge from the child we have to whatever we think that potential might be. So we start with what? Acceptance, and we start with where the child is. How do you how do you accept something that you think is going to hurt your son?
Right. Like,
So,
do I have to wear a sign that says, My son is autistic and has no awareness of social norms? You've been warned.
yeah, like maybe people will probably get that without the sign. I don't know.
Maybe.
Signs could help. I don't know. Anyway, um, and some people would look at that and say, no, because there are people like this in the world, and we do have to learn. Our society has to learn that this is how it is, and that they have to, you know, figure it out. So there are different thoughts about that. But if you don't address your fear, you're not going to get anywhere.
Okay.
And you just said, if I'm not on top of it, he might really get hurt. And other people will be annoyed and it'll be uncomfortable for them. And I just want to turn that around to if I am on top of it, he will get hurt and he will annoy
Right.
other people.
Yeah, it feels like a no-win right now.
Yeah, it is a no-win, especially if your actions, your thoughts are coming from fear. That's going to infuse toxic stress into the situation. Whereas before, we might have had adaptive stress.
Mm, okay.
So it's your fate to have a child that irritates society and that can get hurt. And that is something for all of us who are in that situation or happen to grieve about. It's like it is hard to be rejected from society or to have the potential of that. It's scary. And you might need to just spend some time crying about that
Hmm. Yeah.
or staring at a wall about that if tears don't come, or
Well,
taking a hand towel and thwapping the wall about that when that, when it gets up. But that's like when you start to notice the anxiety rise or the rage rise, that's a time to deal with that really hard reality and to figure out how you're going to express those feelings. How are you going to get that tension out of your body? How are you going to grieve about that? Because it's nobody's fault. There's no one to blame. Not you, not Ari, and not society.
right.
All of us at some point blame any one of those points in the triangle. And it's just an avoidance of grief.
Hmm. It's also exhausting, right? Like toxic stress during versus adaptive stress in my life is it consumes an enormous amount of energy for me to make my stress adaptive versus toxic.
Well, that's only true because of the biases that be.
What do you mean?
So the bi- well, if we have certain perspectives about something like he shouldn't be doing that, or they shouldn't have to sit there and deal with him, or they should be more understanding, as some people would say, or I should have figured this out by now. I should have made it so my son understood and learned this by now. Any of those kinds of perspectives have an underlying bias that he's wrong. This is wrong.
Right,
This isn't okay.
right.
He's walking this earth, so clearly this is actually supposed to be happening. Everything that's happening is supposed to be happening. And our bias gets in the way of our noticing the reality of that.
I mean, yeah, yes, you are right. I am absolutely operating from a place of fear because I would say 90% of the time at this point in his experience, people are welcoming of it. And I'm
Well,
still,
that's so lucky. Okay, so let's see. Let's move this from toxic to adaptive stress in theory, okay?
yeah,
Hypothetical.
yeah,
You you're on the airplane and he's chatting somebody up and they're kind of giving him hints that it's time to stop. And you approach it with humor and say, oh, you think you're going to be able to wind this down? No, honey, you're in for this. This
Oh,
is you're in the long haul.
I've done that. I do that. I said
You're in this
you.
for the long haul. What?
I'm like he's like a golden retriever. You showed him some attention. You did it. You've already set this in motion.
Uh-huh.
I have done that, but and they kind of get it, but like he doesn't get it.
No, no, no. He's not supposed to get it
Okay. Yeah, because he doesn't.
because he doesn't. Exactly. You want him to change to fit society better.
Sometimes.
Of course, we all want our kids to change to, everybody wants their child to change to fit society better.
Yeah.
We are a society that is not super child friendly. I mean, it is to some degree, and you said 90% of the time things are going well with this. Um, but our, you're talking about hunter-gatherers, they don't have any expectations that children should fit society until they do.
Hmm.
And they don't correct children when they're not fitting society. They teach them during the times that they're not doing those things usually.
Right. And so in those moments of teaching, when I can do it and not,
No,
I
but
mean,
he doesn't need to be, he already knows all the things. You've already taught him everything. These are, at this point, it's not from lack of understanding, it's from lack of regulation. He's in a stress response, and this is how he's trying to regulate himself. He has anxiety.
I know. So he wants to do all these amazing things in life and explore and do typical things. And yet all these things cause him so much dysregulation because
Oh,
that's just who he is. So
right,
like everything causes this enormous
right.
amount of like
So what,
anxiety.
right. So what that means is that he's in toxic stress
Right.
and that what he needs is support in order to turn that toxic stress into resilience.
Is it medication? I mean, I have him on a small dose of Ritalin, and I'm like, does he need does he need anti-anxiety medication?
It could be helpful. I'm not going to say one way or the other. I
I
don't
mean,
know.
I hadn't
I
thought
don't
about
look at I don't look at support
it. I know
um,
you don't.
from that lens, but I have seen it help people. I've seen it help a lot of people.
And I don't
But
really
I'm more,
want that, but I'm just wondering, like, do
what
I have an extreme case? I don't want
you
to
do
numb him
have
up.
an extreme case. And so your your response has to be extreme.
I don't.
And it could be through medication. It could also be through your support of being a regulated other who accepts and communicates understanding through his anxiety. So just picture this for a moment. He's on an airplane, he's chatting somebody up. You say that to them. And then for him, you just be looking at him. You just look at him with a calm look on your face. If you get bored and you don't want to be listening anymore, you can look away. You might put a hand on his shoulder or knee to give him some body stability. But
Yeah.
you slow down. You slow yourself way down. You might give him some squeezes. I don't know what sensory modalities or sensory soothers work best for him. That's you, but you can continue to explore what are some things that I can do to support his nervous system to give him some more stability while he's in the stress response, but not in a hurried, frenzied, nervous, scared way like most of us would be.
Yeah,
in,
like I mean,
or
and
almost all of us.
I feel like
That's
I
why
mean,
it's extreme. It's because what I'm saying is something that nobody would just do naturally.
I know, and I usually do it in opposite. Like I will go to that toxic place of stop. You have to stop talking to them. They are not here to talk to you. I am. Talk to me. So I
Mhm.
usually have this extreme, gross, bitchy mom sound. And then I go, God damn it, Talia. And then I slow down. And then I'm like, and then I need to talk to him like a baby. And I need to get really close. And I need to soothe
Oh.
him. And I need to like act extremely interested in the stupid shit he's looking at.
You
But
are doing the rupture and repair beautifully.
but it happens in reverse. Like um, no idea who that is. It happens like I lose my shit and then sometimes it happens both ways because it is so exhaust. It's constant. It's like it's never ending. It's never ending. And like I can be calm and then I'm like, oh my God, I'm doing this. This is my life. Like I am constantly
Mm.
having to regulate myself to regulate him, and it is exhausting.
Okay. And underneath all of that dysregulation of you is your fears.
Sure.
Yeah. So let's,
Fears that it's never going to stop, fears that I'll never get a break,
yeah.
fears that no one else can help him. Like,
Mhm.
yeah.
Which one's the biggest one?
I mean, as he gets older, it's more of a fear of violence or like some
He's not
sort of
gonna be safe.
physical altercation, or he's going to be misunderstood and get in trouble.
What's in trouble mean? With the law? Yeah. Yeah. There's so many people have this fear for their children and it's a real one. So let's look at that fear that he's not going to be safe. He's going to be in danger.
I mean, from like, and I haven't done myself any favors. I've been watching some terrible things on TV. So I maybe need to
Oh,
stop, but like,
not necessarily, those can feed into it, but let's use that for doing the work on it.
yeah, like I just,
So
yeah,
he's going to be in danger. Is it true?
it is true.
And can you absolutely know that he's going to be in danger?
I think I can. Yeah, I do. I think I can know that
Good.
as he gets bigger and hormones are raging and
Uh-huh.
things are happening, that
It's
he
not gonna.
will be in danger, 100%.
And how do you react? What happens when you believe that he will be in danger in the future?
Well, I just feel like that I have to, or I have to train somebody to like pretend to give him autonomy, but really like he's never going to be able to be autonomous in this world.
Well, how do you react? How does it feel in your body? What happens inside of you and as a result of that outside of you
Well, I
when you
have this
worry
tightness in my chest of like I can't breathe.
mm, mhm,
Like it's my job to keep him safe.
mhm. So how do you treat yourself when he has those behaviors?
Oh, terribly. Like why you're doing it wrong. You're not it's clearly not you're not doing it right. You're not keeping him safe because he can't even figure out how to do it now. We can't figure out how to do it now.
Mhm.
So,
And when you say those things to yourself, what is the result? How do you feel hearing those messages?
well, horrible. It's not helpful.
Mhm,
It's yeah, it's there it doesn't feel it feels heavy. It feels like yeah, it's like energy sucking, right? Like I'm not
mm,
even with him right now and I'm thinking about it.
Mhm.
So it's all consuming.
Mhm. So if you were to be in these situations, who would you be without the self messages that you can't figure it out and all of that? In those situations, if you were just there without those self messages.
I mean, if I could just be present and be
Never mind
kind,
that. If you could this or that, just imagine that those thoughts just didn't come up. Those messages were silenced. That's it.
I could just be right. I could just be there. I could just be with him.
What would happen to that feeling in your chest without those
Well,
messages
that
about
right,
yourself?
that would not be there.
Uh-huh. And just that would be a huge step forward to not have those messages about yourself.
Well,
So, what are some of those messages again?
you know, that I'm not regulating myself well enough to keep him safe, I haven't
Okay.
taught
Okay.
him anything, that I,
Yeah.
that it's
Yeah.
like Groundhog's Day every single day.
And it's all your fault.
Yeah. Because I am his person. I am his blankie. I am everything. And yet, if
So,
I can't,
yeah.
yeah,
So when those thoughts come in that I'm not doing it, I'm not doing the thing, I'm not teaching him. Turn that around to I am teaching him.
yeah.
How
I
is
mean,
it true
maybe
that
I,
how
yeah.
is it true that you're teaching him?
Well, right now I'm not. That he thinks I'm the bitchy mom in the back who just yells and
That's an
sometimes,
example of how you're not teaching him. What's an example of how you
right.
are? Mhm.
Um, I mean, there are times where I'm like, they are not looking at you. They heard you. They are not looking at you. They do not want to talk to you. And that's okay. You can talk to me. So those
Okay.
are things that I try in the
Hmm.
moment
Hmm.
to teach him.
Hmm. Okay.
Um, is that what you mean? No, what
There
am I?
any
I don't,
examples of how you do teach him?
I mean,
Like what I said before was it's not a matter of he doesn't know. It's not a matter of this isn't a motivational or lack of information issue. This is stress on his part.
I don't, well, now I don't know that I'm teaching him anything. I don't know.
How would you like it to teach him? If you were to teach him, what would you like to do?
I would like, I mean, I would love to be able to say, I honestly, I don't know, Betty. I'm just so stuck in like the moment of it. I'm missing the forest for the trees. I would love for him to be able to recognize when he's dysregulated and be like, Mom, I need you.
Yes. What would you, so that's what you want to teach him. So bring the camera back on you. That's what you'd like him to do. What would you like to do? You can't control him.
So I just need to ground when he's in these situations that I know are anxiety producing, which is almost everything.
Okay, so the way you want to teach him is to show him that there's nothing to be worried about. There's nothing to fear. There's no reason for him to be in this threat response based on the situation. You want to show him, model for him that everything is safe right here and now.
Well, it's like he can ask 12 questions in the span of 30 seconds
Hmm.
because he's just like, I don't know if it's the way he control it's the way he gets control. It's the way
Uh-huh.
he
Uh-huh.
starts to feel safe is by
Right.
trying to understand a
Right.
situation that he doesn't understand. And
You,
that the lack of understanding is what I believe causes him to feel threatened or unsafe or dysregulated.
mm,
And so whether it's Santa Claus, which in theory, like now that I think about Santa Claus, what a messed up thing to do to our children, but like whether it's Santa Claus, whether it's when will we open presents for the holidays, whether it's where's the captain going after this flight, whether it's how did they get the food on the cart from that we ordered on our phone, like the process that's needing to understand all these things. It's like everything gives him anxiety of not knowing. It's like I
right.
can
So
think,
you want him to feel safe, not knowing.
yes,
Okay.
yeah, I do.
Okay. So how would you want to show him that it's safe not to know in those situations?
Well, sometimes I'll say shit, excuse my language, I'll say stuff and I'm like, why did you say that? He doesn't like I'll say, I don't know where the food came from and I'm okay. And he's like, well, yeah, but you're not me. I'm not okay not knowing where the food comes from.
Mm-hmm.
So,
So you're telling him doesn't help.
right. So I need to ask him how, like, okay. So Ari, I don't know where the food comes from. And I don't think I'm gonna know where it comes from. How does that make you feel to not know?
How do you feel when you say something like that?
I feel like an asshole.
Hmm. Okay. So
I mean,
you don't have perfect safety either.
no, because I feel condescending because
Okay. So again, your words are not, that top down, starting at the executive level, are not the way.
that's what I'm going to do to him. And it's going to drive him crazy.
Okay. So how do you want to teach him? Bottom up, the bottom of the brain, body up. How do you want to teach him that it's safe?
I'm just going to get quiet. I'm going to try to say once, I don't know, but I'm here. And maybe we'll find out. Maybe we won't, but it's okay. But saying it's okay to him
Exactly.
feels terrible.
Yeah, because it's not okay for him.
No, it's not
So
okay for
it's incongruent to his experience.
him. So I could say, and I do this all the time. I don't know, buddy.
Hmm.
Really sucks to not know. Ugh,
How does that go?
not well. I mean, it's
What
like,
happens?
well, I mean, I don't know. I wish he could just tell me. Sometimes it makes him ask it 100 times more, right? Because he's like, you're withholding information from me.
Mm.
You know.
But what's underneath all of his anxiety?
I think that's how he shows his competency in the world. And so I think it's important for him to be able to show people that he knows things because he doesn't have
So
friends.
is underneath all that anxiety is his sadness of what he cannot do.
Yeah.
That's where you go. You get sad with him or for him. It's like you've got to get through that sadness in order to come out on the other side. Avoiding grief equals anxiety. So, what if you were to get sad when he wanted to know where the food came from?
Yeah, I don't know.
Does it scare you to get sad, to not know where the
Um,
food came from? Does it feel too vulnerable?
I mean, I don't know if I mean, I could get vulnerable. I can trigger myself into tears over him in a heartbeat. I don't know that I need to like be that sad about like where the food comes from on the
What do you mean
cart.
by that sad?
Like, I don't know if on the airplane I need to break into tears to be
Oh,
sad for
I
him
see.
to
Yeah.
be like, I
There's
don't know where the food comes from and it's so
here's what I
sad.
mean. Here's what I mean. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, this has come up many times between us with him is just like really matching that affect or like helping him to work through that.
Well, his
But
affect isn't sad, so that's not matching
no,
anything.
right. Correct. There are times when I do match his affect, but his affect right now is curiosity laced with anxiety.
Right. So I'm asking you to consider what it would be like if you were to match what's underneath his anxiety.
Yeah, he might get mad initially. He might be like,
Is that
yeah,
okay?
totally.
Okay.
It's a temp, yeah, it's just something, yes, and maybe the work for me is to continue to be in that sad spot, in like that sad space and work through that lower level for much longer than what I've been doing. It's like I sometimes in life when my brain has a million other things that are going on and I'm managing him and his safety and all of that in a public space, I don't stay in that sad space too long. Like I drop it and then I move right past it. So I don't
What
really let,
happens when you, okay, so let's see, you get sad, he gets mad, and then what happens with his anger?
um,
Because the typical pattern would be he gets mad and then he's able to get sad.
yeah, he, well, and he has a hard, he could get mad and he could be like, but then yeah, then he might be fine and move on until he gets dysregulated again.
Oh, so he doesn't go to sad. He just gets mad and gets back to regulated?
Sometimes, I mean, sometimes he gets sad, but I don't think he would get sad over the food. I mean, he would get sad over um getting like he would get sad over like getting in trouble for my husband or something
I
like
see.
that.
I see. So with the food, if you were to get sad and he were to get mad, he would dysregulate through anger, and then he would get triggered again because the tension would not have left his
Gone out.
body.
Yeah.
And so then he would happen again. You get sad again. He might get mad again. And
Yeah.
that would be the cycle you expect.
Yeah. I mean, he stims a lot. Like his whole body shakes. And so I could
Good. Do you
envision,
know that that shaking is so good for releasing tension?
I
Yeah,
do. And
that's
so I could
great.
imagine that he would do that.
Oh,
And
good.
so
That would be great.
yeah, I mean, he does that all the time. So
Hmm. Good.
it is a really great way for him to release that tension. So
Okay. So what we want is for him to do that
yeah,
and to have less tension by letting go of avoiding the sadness.
Okay.
And so, what we want him to do is be exposed to disappointment, sadness, grieving, all of that in response to his anxiety. And then when you have these self messages, that you would notice how much they hurt because it helps stop them. That you would make the connection between the self messages of you're not being a good enough mom to deal with this properly. My words, not yours. Those messages lead to excruciating pain. And when you start to recognize that you're hurting yourself with the messages, it can take the energy out of them so that they can stop.
Oh,
Or you can just hear the messages and say, stop. Either way, whatever works. You can find your own way to get those messages quieted so that you can breathe in the presence of your son.
yeah.
And that is extreme. That is an extreme measure.
Yes, it is. Just your typical Monday.
Oh, I'm sorry that the trip was so stressful. Y'all were looking forward to it.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's like there was a large homeless or
Yeah.
disadvantaged population staying very close to where we were staying. And anytime we needed to leave our condo, we had to walk by any number of depravity
Mhm.
and human excrement. Like it was gross. And Ari just wanted to sit and chat it up with,
Yeah.
and it's
Those are
like,
the safest people for him to be
totally.
doing that with.
Sure.
Those are
Sure.
those are the best people for Ari to talk to. They are starving for someone to notice them and to feel a part of things.
That's true.
What a
And
gift that he would.
totally.
That's so awesome.
He has no um yeah, but he doesn't know how to stop. He can't
They
stop.
don't, most of them don't mind.
I know.
I mean, there's so much kindness in those camps that they are the perfect people, the people with the most understanding of all.
That is true.
You might want to take little field trips over there to the ones in, I don't know where they are in Seattle anymore because they've
They're
been
in Ballard.
going Ballard. You might take him to little field trips so he can just like hang out just like you would, you know.
Well, I don't know if I feel comfortable with that in terms of like public health. Like, I don't know. I think maybe I could baby step to maybe maybe I need to like set him up at an old folks home at a table and just let him chat it up with people.
There you go.
It's
That's
not
a
that I
great
don't
idea.
want him, it's not that I don't want him talking to homeless people, but I don't want him talking about poop and animal poop. And like, I don't, it's like, that's what he gets excited about. Are you a responsible pet owner? Like, why didn't you pick up your dog's poop? Like, I just, you know,
I
I
don't
don't,
think that, they might not mind. They
they
might have
probably
answers for that.
might. You're right. You're right. They might have answers and it might satisfy him and then we could move on. Maybe
I
he
mean,
thinks
just
about,
some people might be so grateful for that somebody actually asked so that they could be understood.
that's true. Seems like there's more work here for me to do. This is not really about him so much as it is about me.
And that's what makes it so extreme that we are actually working on ourselves when we think we're supposed to be working on our kids. I
Totally.
have to plug in.
All right. Well, yeah.
Hang on, let me find my 6-way. Somebody stole my 6-way. This one. There we go. Ugh. All right. You're
Well,
doing
this,
so well, though. You're just doing so beautifully. I hope you realize
well, thank you.
that despite all those self messages, you have been through so much on this journey. This is a hero's journey.
thank you.
Yeah, you are truly a hero.
It feels like, I mean, it couldn't be more clear that this is my role in this life is that, it's not, I mean, obviously I need to attend to myself, but this is the learning. This is the path.
Yeah.
And
And gosh, if you really sit down and look at it, it's quite a beautiful path.
totally, I
It's
mean,
like so filled with privileges.
100%. That is not lost on me, but sometimes the enormity of it feels really big.
You know, I understand that. And it's only moments that you're dealing with, one of them at a time. That's all you are responsible for. You are not responsible for the enormity at all. Whatever is overwhelming for you is not for you. One moment at a time.
Yeah,
Like right now, you're not even responsible for him. Look at that.
I think so.
He's not even in your presence. You have no responsibility whatsoever.
I know, I know.
Oh, can you please do something to hold yourself accountable for the self messages?
Yeah, I don't know what, but I will have to think about it.
I don't want you to beat yourself up when you give yourself those self messages, but just give yourself some kind of, decision about how you're going to handle them. Are you going to say stop? Are you going to notice how it hurts? Are you going to
Yeah,
put stickies up and say that say, how did you just talk to yourself?
mm, yeah, I will.
And be gentle, 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 gentle with that because it's a new habit to have new, you know.
It's not so new. I tattooed it on my arm. It said be tender, like with myself and with others. Like this is
Oh, beautiful.
not, I might need to just stick a different post-it note on myself.
That's such a beautiful tattoo.
But yeah, I will think about what I will do in the moment, and our next time I will let you know. We'll do a progress post.
Good.
Ugh,
Good.
okay. I mean, God, when he told me, he's like, Mommy, that sounds like you. I was like, Yep, there I am. That tired, bitchy mom. That's me.
Lots of love going out to that lady right now.
Yeah, totally. It's like,
And
I,
all of us who have been bitchy moms.
wow. I mean, I was like, Ari can't not lie. That's one of his gifts too. And I was like, You're right, bud. You nailed it. That's me. And
Mhm.
I think I said, She sounds tired. I said, She sounds
Beautiful. What a great response. I love that.
okay. Well, this feels like a lot
Yeah,
again,
yeah,
but
it's a lot.
it is a lot. It is a lot. He's a lot.
Thank you so much for letting me record it so that other people can listen.
Absolutely.